Far back in the ether of antiquity, a younger Razorfist had occasion to stay home from school. The details are lost to me. Maybe it was the fucking flu. Maybe I got TB from Terengale. In the immortal words of a cartoon owl in a Tootsie Pop commercial, the world may never know. But I'm glad I goddamn did, for a friend had left the disc for Daggerfall on my desk. And with nothing better to do but lay around and nurse a fever, the disc dropped in, and so did my fucking jaw. And while the opening dungeon's reputation as a glorified series of murder hallways is solidified in the annals of video game scrubdom, I must have rolled a crit in the fucking fate lottery, because after only 1 or 2 attempts, I somehow managed to turn down the exactly correct corridors in precise sequence and emerge outside having defeated what I then assumed was a simple video game level. As my adolescent digits danced across the keyboard, I somehow managed to find the world map function. Okay, neat, I said to myself. That flashing landmass must be where I am. It was only upon clicking on it that I recall uttering aloud, "Hey, what the hell are all those dots?" Only to scroll across one and see the name of a city pop up. "Heavens to Murgatroyd," I exclaimed. "I'll try walking toward the one closest to me." And so I depressed the up key, and I held it, and held it. And 10 full minutes later, I was still fucking holding it with no city in sight. And then it hit me. The level I'd completed wasn't a level at all. It was a world. One roughly the size of the British Isles, by the way. And every one of those dots was a fucking place. And if I walked there, it would take roughly the same amount of time as in real life. That was my first experience with what is now called a video game sandbox. Sure, I'd had brief brushes with the concept. GameStorm, an online gaming service I'd subscribed to for a while, had proprietary titles like Legends of Kesmai and multiplayer Battletech that were sorta sandboxy, but nothing like this, and certainly not in single fucking player. It's easy enough to pronounce in retrospect, but I can say in absolute certainty I knew in that precise moment I'd witnessed the future of gaming, and I had no idea how right I was. Between future installments in the Elder Scrolls series, not to mention a little ditty by the name of Grand Theft Auto 3, Sandboxes seized the entire industry by the short and curlies, and they've been yanking fucking vigorously ever since. And while it would be ultimately something that would wear out its welcome, at least initially, unlike a vegan's diet, it was entirely organic. From Rockstar's open world experiences to all new efforts in the form of Assassin's Creed and fucking Far Cry, more games than ever were taking wrecking balls to walls, both visible and invisible, and allowing the player full range of motion. But something began to happen then that was as predictable as it was lamentable, whether through incompetence, malice, or stupidity, somehow, some way, occupying an open and interactive environment teeming with multifarious activities and NPCs to interact with, some even representing actual players, became shockingly, inexplicably, final season of Blacklist fucking boring! A truly staggering achievement when you really lean back and ponder it for a beat. I mean, think about it. When I enjoyed my very first video games, it was 2D pixels on a plane, ambulating ever rightward in search of a princess, a pal, or a great big fucking flagpole. When I first inhabited the pit-stained overalls of everyone's favorite Hop and Wop and started dropping shrooms and smashing my skull into floating brick blocks, my preteen thinkbox could scarcely conceive of a day those two dimensions would span in all directions. Full freedom and range of motion, allowing me to explore every inch of a vibrant fucking fantasy world using a character I'd customize from pompadour to pubes. But my adolescent amazement at that particular video game development pales in comparison to the mind-bending, reality-altering achievement the modern gaming industry has accomplished by somehow, some way, managing to make that experience fucking suck. We went from salivating at the prospect of an open-world assassination simulator to literally begging the bitches who make it to stop releasing shitty sequels annually. We went from gobsmacked at the prospect of planetary exploration on a Mako fucking Land Rover to approaching Starfield and the inevitable Mass Effect reboot with something approaching Lovecraftian fucking dread. How in heaving titties did you even achieve this feat? And believe it or not, I've already alluded to the answer. Assassin's Creed. No, not the first few. Those are actually somewhat inspired. You can argue till you're blue in the balls about the botched execution of this or that mechanic, but the concept of a lone assassin stalking the Holy Land, giddily deleting Crusaders and Saracens was spectacular, and it's why I still replay the first couple Assassin's Creed entries to this day. But in retrospect, the earliest alarm bells were already a-ringing. I vividly recall a pre-launch interview, though fuck if I can find it all these years later, get off my lawn, where Jade Raymond of Ubisoft Montreal, asked about the appearance and origins of series protagonist Altair, explained that they had focus tested alternate appearances for the character, and Arabic dude in a white hoodie happened to test market. The best! I beshit you not, RazörForce! The first character in the Assassin's Creed saga was selected at a glorified fucking PTA meeting. But not in our most far-flung Todd Howard and a slingback thong sex hallucinations could anyone have envisioned that someday, very, very soon, they'd be making the entire goddamn game that way. I don't know about you, but I can't get too enough of interchangeable micro-Sony exclusives featuring a conspicuously adroit Starbucks barista with resting bitch face and a bow, or the equally interchangeable 1001 flags and or feathers and or medals and or shrines I'm expected to collect for the sky-splitting reward of a skin or some shit. Here's hoping the skin is spread over a new fucking girlfriend, because that's precisely what you'll need after spending 8 uninterrupted months chasing down tchotchkes in made-up-topia like an utter asshole. Collection is not content, you cunts. I could spend 24 hours picking pennies up off a post office floor. This does not make it fucking content. And who the hell wants to play a Ben Shapiro simulator anyway? Ghost of Tsushima's setting and aesthetics are so sexy, I want to engage in consensual reproductive congress with them after a lengthy public courtship. But be honest, bitches, most of that world is so empty it's a bald bearded stooge in a spinner rack away from being an American comic book store. And here's the obnoxious part. As developer tools become dirt cheap and all but ubiquitous, this trend should theoretically arc in the opposite direction. The ability to prefab or fucking generate a AAA environment at a visual fidelity approaching near photorealism should save enough time for the authored content to branch out in impressive non-linear fashion. Instead, the public standards for what non-linear actually is have fallen further than Lil Jon's Jinkos. Hell, the high watermark, at least according to the fucking internet, is Witcher 3, which features a fair few choices for a fact, until they all inevitably bottleneck into several minor variations of the same fucking ending. It's like the RPG equivalent of a philosophy degree. It don't matter if you major in Nietzsche, Fichte, or fucking Wittgenstein. The only German name in your future is Der Wiener Schnitzel. Contrary to popular belief, the most hateful act one can perpetrate on another human being isn't a withering verbal assault or even a fucking physical one. Bruised egos can be mended, and broken bones, you can get those healed in a hurry, provided you aren't Canadian. But you want to really ruin a motherfucker's life? Hold him to a low standard or no standard and watch him immolate himself like he's juggling torches on the fucking Hindenburg. And that, my friends, is what we have done to the video game industry. Our standards have slid so far into the sea, they're not even worth imploding a party-sized sub to fucking find. The Sandbox became the Blandbox because you keep buying this bullshit. A nation deserves its leaders, a miserable spouse deserves their douchey husband, and gamers deserve this dog shit industry. I'm RazörFist. God fucking speed.
Who's laughing now?